The email hit Evelyn Carter's inbox at 7:42 a.m. Subject line: Urgent, vendor access breach inquiry. Her stomach dropped before she even clicked it. Inside was a chain of forwarded internal reports, access logs, user IDs. A flagged anomaly showing someone with executive-level clearance had approved unauthorized data syncing between Athena Group's VIP client list and an external analytics firm, one Evelyn had explicitly blacklisted months ago. And the user ID associated? Hers. Her fingers froze on the trackpad. "What the hell?" she whispered. This wasn't just sloppy data management. If true, it looked like she had leaked confidential client data, possibly violating multiple privacy agreements. But she hadn't touched that system all week. The breach timestamp was Sunday, while she'd been out of state touring a potential acquisition. From the corner office next door, Sasha Monroe, the company's recently hired COO, was on a video call, laughing too loudly. Evelyn stood slowly and walked to the glass partition between their offices. Sasha saw her, gave a half smile and a peace sign, then turned his back. Evelyn stared at him a moment longer, her mind suddenly spinning. She knew Sasha didn't like being second in command to a 32-year-old founder. She also knew he had ties to one of Athena's rival firms through a former board member. But until this morning, she hadn't thought he'd go so far. Not only had someone planted this, they'd chosen the worst timing. Evelyn had a full day of meetings ahead, including finalizing details for a large family reservation at her flagship property. Her family, her parents and younger sister Vanessa, were scheduled to dine at Athena, Minneapolis in 3 weeks to celebrate her father's 60th birthday. The irony wasn't lost on Evelyn. They'd chosen her hotel without realizing she owned it. And why would they? To them, Evelyn was still the hospitality girl who never quite measured up. The one who started her own company because she couldn't land a real job like Vanessa at a top law firm. The one who skipped family holidays because she was always working, when in truth she'd been too tired of playing the underachiever role they'd assigned her. She looked out across the city skyline from her 32nd floor office. Everything she'd built, the restored Art Deco hotel, the penthouse above it, the award-winning staff culture, none of it had ever been acknowledged by her own blood. Until now. 16 years earlier, growing up in a leafy Minnesota suburb, Evelyn had been the quiet daughter, bookish, curious, always dreaming bigger than the neat boxes her family offered. Her father, Charles, had wanted 2 daughters who followed the plan: get into Ivy Leagues, marry well, join family business or corporate law. Her mother, Linda, had championed Vanessa relentlessly. Ballet lessons, debate camp, summer internships in D.C. When Evelyn launched her first business selling custom notebooks at 16, they called it a phase. When she earned a scholarship to study hospitality management, they said it was better than nothing. When she called home with news of her first promotion at the Meridian Group, her mom interrupted to talk about Vanessa's new firm partnership. By 26, Evelyn had stopped sharing. She had no time for applause that never came. Instead, she poured herself into strategy, operations, client loyalty systems. She didn't need her family's approval. She was building something real. But silence has its cost. "Hey, boss," said Marcus Wu, leaning in from her office door. Former military intelligence turned chief of security, loyal, sharp, unshakable. "I need a trace run," she said, spinning her laptop around to show him the breach logs. Marcus's eyes narrowed. "You didn't authorize this." "No, but someone wants it to look like I did. Sasha, maybe? Or someone working with him?" "I'll handle it," he said simply. Quietly. "I want truth before confrontation," she added. Marcus nodded and left. Evelyn exhaled and turned her attention back to the other crisis, the family dinner. They had no idea who really owned the Athena. The reservation had been made under her parents' name. Vanessa had bragged about pulling strings to get a discount. Evelyn had smiled politely in the group text and offered to help behind the scenes, then called her GM and quietly arranged to cover half the event cost anonymously. Let them believe she was just being generous. For now. She opened the hotel's event dashboard and scrolled through the Winston Suite reservation, VIP service, vintage wine pairings, custom menu featuring her dad's favorite bourbon-glazed ribeye. Every detail perfect. She could already hear Vanessa's voice. You really should thank me for booking this place. I heard even their wait list has a wait list. Evelyn smiled to herself. Let them walk through her lobby, see her logo on every wine glass, smell her success in the polished marble and linen-scented air, and still not see it. Until she chose the moment. Until they had no choice but to see her. If you've ever been overlooked after working harder than anyone else, type 1. Later that evening, Evelyn received a voice memo from Vanessa. Short, clipped, falsely sweet. Hey sis, Mom says you're gonna help with the tip for the restaurant. That's sweet. Just don't, you know, overpromise. It's a pretty upscale place. I can lend you a dress if you're worried about looking the part. Can't wait. Evelyn deleted the message. Then she opened a fresh note on her phone and wrote, Reveal. At the door. When Vanessa tries to block me, Marcus delivers line. She paused and added one more sentence. Let them underestimate me until it becomes their greatest mistake. The Athena's marble floors gleamed under the soft amber glow of Art Deco sconces. Classical jazz floated through the lobby like a hush before a storm. At exactly 6:52 p.m., Evelyn Carter stepped out of her private elevator and into the hotel she owned, dressed to the nines in a midnight blue Monique Lhuillier gown, hair swept back, eyes sharp. This was the night. She moved through the back hallway silently, passing chefs in crisp whites and housekeepers who nodded respectfully until she reached the security room. Marcus Wu was already there, watching the monitors. Her family had arrived early. Of course they had. Your mom's already criticized the floral arrangements, Marcus muttered. Your sister tried to tell the sommelier what to serve. Evelyn let out a breath between a smile and a sigh. Sounds like them. Then she saw it on the screen. Her sister Vanessa standing near the lobby's main entrance, chatting with the concierge like she owned the place. Her boyfriend Derek hovered behind her, visibly awkward. Linda, their mother, adjusted the sleeves of her formal suit, eyes darting everywhere, judging, scanning. Evelyn turned away from the screen and looked at Marcus. Ready? She asked. He handed her a small device. Micro Mike's live. I'll meet you at the front once the moment's right. She nodded. Let's give them the story they've written for me, then flip it on them. Moments later, Evelyn circled around the block and entered the lobby through the main doors, walking like any other late guest. But before she could take 2 steps, Vanessa spotted her and pounced. Evelyn? Vanessa's voice rose, just shy of a scoff. You actually came? She glanced Evelyn up and down. Wow. Is that rental? Looks almost real. Evelyn kept her expression neutral. Lovely to see you too. Vanessa stepped forward, physically blocking her. You're not on the guest list. Did Mom invite you directly? Before Evelyn could answer, Linda arrived, already flustered. Abigail, Evelyn, please don't make a scene. If you're struggling financially again, we could have arranged something more modest. A few guests turned to look. Evelyn inhaled slowly. I'm not here for charity, Mom. At that moment, Marcus approached from behind. Excuse me, he said smoothly. Is there a problem here? Vanessa turned to him, annoyed. Who are you? Marcus Wu, head of security. Miss Carter is our guest of honor tonight. Vanessa blinked. Wait, security? Linda's face flushed. What has she done now? Marcus remained calm. Nothing. In fact, she has a few instructions to confirm before dinner begins. He looked at Evelyn, waiting for her cue. She gave a tiny nod. Actually, Marcus said, raising his voice just enough to draw attention, I believe there's been some confusion. Miss Carter isn't just a guest. She's the owner of the Athena Hotel. The entire lobby fell into silence. Vanessa's face drained of color. Linda swayed slightly, gripping the back of a nearby chair. You're kidding, Vanessa said flatly. Evelyn smiled. I'm not. Jackson, the general manager, approached with perfect timing. Miss Carter, the Winston suite is ready. The 1962 Bordeaux from your collection has been decanted as requested. Shall I escort your guests now? Linda's jaw opened, but no words followed. Vanessa stared as if Evelyn had spoken in another language. "You own this?" she whispered. "And 4 more across the Midwest," Evelyn confirmed, stepping past her sister. "This one's just home." They followed her into the Winston suite in stunned silence. Inside, candlelight glowed across the custom oak table. Her father, Charles, turned from the bar and froze mid-sip. "Evie," he said. Evelyn smiled. "Happy birthday, Dad." Later that night, while the rest of the guests toasted over creme brulee and bourbon, Evelyn stepped into her office to check on something far less festive. Her inbox had new documents from Marcus. He'd finished the trace. The vendor data breach logs had indeed been falsified by Sasha Monroe, the COO. He had cloned Evelyn's admin credentials using old metadata backups, approved unauthorized transfers, and masked the IP address trail with a temporary server in Ohio. But Marcus had found discrepancies in the time zone stamps, proof Sasha couldn't erase. Attached was a draft report for the board. Evelyn sat back in her chair, fingers steepled under her chin. "He tried to frame me. He wanted to destroy my credibility from the inside, while smiling in my face." Her phone buzzed. A text from Sasha. "Great job on the party tonight. You really pulled it off. Drinks next week?" She stared at the screen, then typed back, "Sure. Let's meet Tuesday. I'll bring the board." She hit send. Just then, her mother knocked on the office door. When Evelyn didn't respond, Linda walked in without invitation. "I just spoke with the Robertsons," she said stiffly. "They're surprised. So am I." Evelyn stood. "Is that an apology?" Linda's lips tightened. "Why didn't you tell us?" "You never asked," Evelyn said quietly. "And every time I tried, you made it clear I'd never amount to anything." Her mother's expression flickered. "That's not fair." "It's not? The tuition, the comparisons, the backhanded comments. Vanessa got pride. I got lectures." Linda opened her mouth, closed it. "I didn't want revenge tonight, Mom," Evelyn said. "I wanted respect." Linda looked down, swallowed hard. "You made your point." Evelyn met her gaze, unflinching. "That was never the goal. But since I have your attention, things are going to change. If you've ever had to prove your worth to people who should have known it all along, type 2. As her mother left in silence, Evelyn returned to her desk and reopened the breach file. It was time to reclaim her story, at home and at work. Let Sasha enjoy his last week. Let the family whisper all they want. This place wasn't just hers now. It always had been. They were just finally noticing. The message came in at 6:12 a.m. from Sasha. "Just spoke with the board. They're asking questions. I hope we're on the same page before this gets out of hand." Evelyn Carter smirked as she stirred her espresso. By this, Sasha meant the packet she'd sent to the board last night. Time-stamped logs, metadata discrepancies, screenshots of falsified credentials. It was airtight, clean, surgical, courtesy of Marcus. By the end of that day, Sasha Monroe would be out. And Evelyn, she'd be in full control again, of her company, of her story, of the power she had once given away, just to avoid conflict. She took a slow sip, the skyline of Minneapolis golden behind her. The world had changed overnight, and so had she. Later that morning, her father, Charles Carter, arrived at the Athena, on time, alone, and visibly nervous. She greeted him in her office, same one he'd once assumed was some backroom desk job Evelyn kept because hotel management must be stable. He looked around at the marble, the skyline, the quiet elegance of her domain. "This view," he said softly, "is something else." She nodded, offering him a seat. "It's why I chose this office. I built this, from the ground up." An awkward silence followed, thick with years of distance and misunderstandings. Finally, Charles cleared his throat. "I owe you an apology." Evelyn said nothing. She'd learned silence was often more powerful than any rebuttal. He continued, "I truly didn't realize how much we'd underestimated you. I didn't understand your choices, and instead of trusting you, I judged you. His voice cracked slightly. And I let your mother and sister's opinions color mine. That's on me. Evelyn folded her hands, eyes level. It wasn't about you understanding. It was about you respecting what you didn't understand. Charles nodded slowly, shame flickering in his eyes. You're right, and I'm ready to do better. It wasn't everything, but it was something. She accepted it. By noon, she'd had a very different kind of visitor, her mother. Linda Carter showed up unannounced, expecting the usual treatment, walked right in, sat right down, except she was stopped by the front desk. Do you have an appointment with Miss Carter today? The receptionist asked with polite firmness. I'm her mother, Linda snapped. And I'm sure she'll be happy to see you once she's available, came the cool reply. 20 minutes later, Evelyn met her in the lobby. I see you've added layers, Linda said, voice tight. I've added boundaries, Evelyn replied. Necessary ones. Linda followed her into a private meeting room. Neither sat. I need to say something, Linda began, folding her arms. I was humiliated the other night. You let me walk into your hotel without knowing. You let us embarrass ourselves. Evelyn's face remained calm. You embarrassed yourselves. I just stopped correcting the narrative. That's petty, Linda hissed. No, Evelyn replied, voice steady. That's protection, because every time I offered you pieces of my life, you broke them apart. Linda opened her mouth, then closed it. She paced, fidgeted, tried to regain footing. You could have told us. I did. You just didn't listen. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, Evelyn stepped forward, eyes firm. I'm willing to build something new, but not based on denial or pity. I want honesty, respect. And for once, I want you to ask about me, not talk at me, not compare me. Linda blinked. Slowly, she nodded. I'd like to know more, she said finally, if you're willing to share. Evelyn exhaled slowly. We'll start there. That evening, Evelyn met Vanessa at a quiet rooftop cafe, neutral ground. Vanessa arrived alone. No Derek, no pretense. Just her, in a trench coat, clearly nervous. I'm not good at this, she started, awkward. Apologies, or feelings. Evelyn waited. But I saw the staff at that dinner, the way they looked at you, that kind of respect. You don't buy that. You earn it. I did, Evelyn said quietly. Vanessa hesitated. And we didn't make it easy for you. No, Evelyn agreed. You made it almost impossible. Vanessa's eyes flicked up, momentarily raw. I wasn't trying to hurt you. No, but you were trying to win. Always. Another pause. Then Evelyn continued. You didn't have to compete. You were already chosen. I was surviving. You were performing. Vanessa's eyes watered, just slightly. So, now what? Evelyn leaned back. Now we rebuild, but on my terms. Vanessa nodded. And what does that look like? No more passive-aggressive texts. No leveraging my success for client perks. If we're sisters, we talk like sisters. Not rivals, not networkers. Vanessa smiled weakly. Okay. Then, with a half laugh, she added, So, no discount rate for corporate retreats? Evelyn stared for a second, then smirked. Book through the normal channels like everyone else. If you've ever had to fight to redefine your role in your own family, type 3. The next morning, Sasha Monroe was officially removed as COO. Evelyn's report had been bulletproof. The board thanked her. Quietly. No fanfare. She didn't need it. Later, as she looked out over the city from her penthouse balcony, a message pinged in. From Charles Carter. Subject, last night. You didn't just build hotels, Evelyn. You built something better than approval. You built respect. She smiled, glass of red in hand. It was never about revenge. It was about being seen. And now, she would never be unseen again.